conclude business if necessary. Basic procedure for the hearing is as followed. Your case will be announced. Ms. Meyer will conduct the oath of witness. Staff will present the evidence in your case. Then you will be allowed to rebut the evidence and explain what's occurred. I will close the hearing. The board will deliberate, make a motion, vote, and then I will announce the decision. All decisions are based on the gravity of the violation, action taken by the violator, and the violator's history. The board may ask questions and allow other witness testimony if necessary. If the board issues an order of compliance, it is your responsibility to notify the Code Enforcement Board on or before the date order to demonstrate the violation or violations have been corrected. Depending on the order, the code enforcement staff may later have to conduct an inspection to see if you've complied. If staff believes you have not complied, you will receive a notice in the mail. By law, you have 10 days to contest the notice. Otherwise, it will be considered correct and the lien may be filed against your property. If you have any questions, these rules are outlined in Hillsborough County Code or Ordinances and Laws, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14. Any person who decides to appeal the decision of the Code Enforcement Board will need a record of the proceeding. The record is comprised of testimony and evidence on which the appeal is based. It is your responsibility to issue a verbatim record of the proceedings is made. By law, you have 30 days from the date of the order to appeal the board's decision to circuit court. Before we begin, be sure and silence all electronic devices. Okay, let's see here. We've got minutes somewhere, do we not? Yeah, roll call.
Morning, Board. Chair Bordenaro.
Yeah.
Mr. Boland. Ms. Clayton.
With me, here.
Lorenzen.
Present.
Urbaniak. Brazilla.
Here.
Wright. Alternate Board. Alternate Durazio.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. We need the minutes approved, motion for December 17th and December 24th.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes for December 17th and January 21st, 2022.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative oath, please.
Excuse me, who made the second?
Ms. Clayton?
Thank you.
County staff who will be testifying must take the oath of witness. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. First case is on page 1 of the agenda under continued cases. Number 1, Case number CE 1901-9823. The owner is Pine Key Tampa Bay LLC, location 1 Beer Can Island Way. This case was continued most recently from the hearing on October 26, 2021. And we have two parties signed in virtually for this. I'd like to give them the oath of witness now. Ms. Matthews, are you there?
Yes, I am. You see my right hand?
Oh, there you are. Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Peggy Matthews, 1520 Big Skyway, Tallahassee, Florida, 32317.
And for the record, what is your relation to this case?
Okay, I'm the owner and I'm also the Environmental and Government Relations Director for Pine Key LLC.
Thank you. Mr. McHenry, is he there?
Yes, I'm here.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your name and address.
Jonathan McHenry, 720 Sunset Cove, Madeira Beach, Florida, 33708.
We
For
also
the
have
record-
another owner.
For the record, what is your relation to the company?
I'm an owner.
Thank you. Do you recognize the property in the photo?
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay. Is staff ready?
Yes, I am Carmine Pisano with Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. We are here today to present an update on the property identified as Beer Can Island with the folio number of 51459.0000, and the owners are Pine Key Tampa Bay LLC. This case was initiated on 1/17/2020. At the time, there were 4 violations. Due to COVID, the case was continuing down the line and finally heard on the board on 12/18/2020. Since that hearing, 2 of the violations were in compliance. 2 of the issues of the site development review plan required and construction without permits were continued due to the extensive need for changes in the designation on the property. The owners were in the process of obtaining a land use designation and zoning for their activities. We had an update hearing on 8/27/2021, followed by another hearing on 10/26/2021. It was reported that progress was being made in the ever slow process of the comprehensive plan changes. And now in our hearing, we have an issue where I have reached out to individuals in the county who are participating in this effort to assist the owners at getting the proper zoning and land use designation. The case is rare in itself. I reached out to Yenica Mills with the Comprehensive Plan Policy and Review Division. She advised that the plan amendment application for Pine Key Island was continued to the 1/2022 cycle plan amendments. This basically starts it all over again, and that was directed by the County Commission. It is scheduled to go for a public hearing on 4/11/2022 and back to the Board of County Commissioners on 4/21/2022. The issue is that they were working to create a land use category for the activities at the island. And even at that, she's not sure if they will stay on this timeline. Joe Moretto with the Development Service advised that the Planning Commission and Development Services are working to create the comprehensive plan category, reiterating what Yenica Mills advised me. And the one issue was with Adam Gormley added that they did engage with the owner's representative. He did not advise who it was. I don't know if it's Peggy Matthews or not. In an effort to develop a planned development zoning proposal that would run concurrent with the comprehensive plan, but the representative declined to participate. They wanted to wait until the comprehensive plan issue is addressed. I think with the time period, it would be advisable for them to readdress that issue with development services, but due to the kind of slow process of this issue being addressed and resolved. But that's where we stand right now.
Okay, as of right now, is there zoning for
No.
this parcel? So
No,
there's no zoning.
we're back to almost like stage one, and it's all because of the county commissioners, and it is something that needs to be addressed. There is no land use designation for activities of this nature on the island, and the county is kind of, it seems to be slow in the process of designating a category that would meet the conditions on the property, and that's where the delay is.
Okay, because I see here where you're citing them for, construction without permits. Well, what can they and can they not put there because they're not zoned? You're asking us to make a decision on something that's not zoned yet.
And that's where we stand. I'm back in front of the board to advise that the county is working with the owners of the property. The owners of the property are pursuing what the board has requested them to do. It's more of one that the board can continue to monitor. My suggestion is to take it down past the April hearing with the county commissioners, somewhere and after April and May, possibly even into June, to readdress the issue. We still need to monitor the activities. We can't just set it aside and not address it. But when we presented the case in front of the board and the board chose to move it down the line to have the county as well as the owners of the property pursue proper land use designation and zoning, it's not a quick process. The county has, it's not a monthly issue that they address this. They address it on a quarterly basis. And if you don't meet certain conditions in the application process, you kind of get pushed down the line into the next cycle. And that's what has happened here.
Okay, going back through, I remember this case from the start. Going back through, the county had no way of zoning a property, only rezoning a property.
Well, they can't even get a zoning designation till they get a land use designation. The two go hand in hand. Once they get the land use designation, it'll be easy for them to get the zoning, because the land use designation that they're working on is to come into the conditions of what the activity is out there. So I don't know if that will also require, with the land use designation, a zoning designation that needs to be new also. But either way, the county is working with the owners to make this happen.
Okay, are you asking us to continue, or do you want us to hear the case?
No, I'm asking for the county, for the board to continue the case, to keep it on their agenda, and move it on down and continue to monitor the activities. It is my belief that in the end result that everything will be in compliance. I just, again, due to the county's kind of limited process of planned hearings on this, it just stretches it out far.
Okay. Earlier you had spoke about Zoom. Go ahead, Mr. Vasella.
Carmine, based on what you've said, how much time do you think would be considered for a continuance based on the slow activity of the county?
The way the cycle is set up and my limited knowledge on this, I would think that this being pushed further down because of the conditions, that it would take up to a year for them to come to get everything cleared with the county and come into compliance.
Yes.
When you were talking early in your presentation, is there a meeting on April the 11th of 2022? And what is that meeting for?
It's a public hearing where they present, it's an assumption on me on the public hearing where they present what they want to do to the property out there. The public obviously has, in a public hearing, an ability to address their concerns about what they're going to do. And if everything goes well, it goes in front of the county commission where they'll address whether they agree with the land use designation that is going to be occurred. It's a change to the comprehensive plan, and that doesn't move very fast in many conditions.
Thank you.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Do we get to speak?
Sure, we were going to continue your case, but you're more than welcome to speak.
Thank you. It's Peggy Matthews. I'm an owner, environmental and government relations director for Pine Key. Carmine, your assessment was thorough. I'd just like to add a couple comments. Is that we went through the entire land use designation process, which is incredibly expensive and lengthy. And with the land use designations that exist, okay, the county commission said, no, we need to make another land use designation based on just islands, for islands alone. Okay, this has been taken out of our control. Okay, the planning council now runs this. We have nothing to say. We are working with them, yes, but we are not in charge or cannot move anything faster or anything like that, okay, to move this further along. And as far as zoning, our council, our attorneys said, no, you can't do zoning until you know what your land use designation is. Okay, how are you going to do zoning based on something that doesn't exist? So we will wait, we will have to wait until the land use designation is adopted by the county commission, which will be at the earliest, okay, June, and then we go into zoning. So what we're asking for, because we cannot remedy these two violations, which there are no violations because we have no construction, and we cannot get a site plan, okay, without a land use designation and zoning. Okay, so what we're asking for is for you to dismiss this. All right, this is totally out of our we've done everything we can, plus more. So it's a waste of time to continue it, you know, because we aren't in violation. There's no reason to continue this until because it's all in the county's court now. All right, so we're just hanging out there, and everybody's, you know, this is on the books for absolutely no reason. So what we're requesting is that the case be dismissed because we can't remedy this. It's not our, it's nothing we can do about this. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak?
Can I ask an answer to that?
Sure.
Okay. My question to Ms. Matthews, and I am in an understanding and an agreement that it is frustrating because it is a very slow process. But obviously this is going to go through the summer months. And do you continue to put operations out there as usual during your summer month activities?
Is that a question?
We have
Okay,
all of our,
yeah.
we have
We're
all of
gonna-
our license to
We're
operate.
gonna,
I'm sorry?
yeah, we're gonna do what we have been doing, okay? Which is beach volleyball and a water slide and people coming out and enjoying the natural resources out there.
Right.
Okay,
And-
that doesn't need any kind of site plan. That doesn't need, it's like walking on the beach. So what we're doing is what we've been doing. And we know we can't do anything else. Okay. I mean, we know what our limitations are and we're staying within those limitations.
Well, my statement to that is there will be continued of alcohol being sold on the property, alcohol consumed, food, and all kinds of activities that you've done before, and your activities on the island will make you in violation. If you came across here and said that
Will
you were
not.
going to cease operations until you came into compliance and got your zoning designation and zoning, then I would possibly agree that this case would be dismissed. But because you continue to act in violation, then I think the case should remain into this board's control, and the case be continued, and you monitored your activity as you continue in the process of obtaining what you need to comply with the violations.
All right. I'd like Cole Weaver to answer your questions on the food and alcohol services.
Can you guys hear me right now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, our liquor license allows us to
Hold
sell
on one
liquor.
second. Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Weaver, I don't think that you were, you took the oath. I think there were only 2 oaths this morning. So if you'd like to testify, we're going to need to have you do that.
Okay. If you didn't want to swear me in, that's fine.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address for the record.
Cole Weaver, 1025 Apollo Beach Boulevard, number 1, Apollo Beach, Florida, 33572.
And what is your relation?
Oh. I'm a owner of Pine Key.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Please proceed.
Thank you. So our food and beverage liquor license allows us to sell anywhere in the state of Florida, and there are no requirements on what kind of zoning needs to be that we're allowed to take place. So there is no violation, to my understanding, whether we can or cannot on unzoned property, commercial property, residential property. It has nothing to do with what we are currently doing. We have all of our state regulations and ordinance to allow us to operate in the capacity we are operating in. I don't know of anything that says we are not able to operate in an unzoned property or operate as we currently are. We've talked to all of the other agencies involved: food and beverage, hotel management, EPA, alcohol, liquor, everybody. We've talked to everybody. We are in compliance with everybody, and operating in the capacity of our licenses that we currently have. The other thing I wanted to address too is I know that there were some other violations that we've satisfied and had re-inspections of that I don't think those are being addressed. I think maybe we're done with that, but I think we've come into compliance with everything that we have been asked to do. And I don't see any current violation with us operating in an unzoned property.
Okay, but there's not a wet zone where you're operating. Yes? No?
We don't need a wet zone for our current license. We operate and cater to our members on the property, which does not require a wet zone.
Which you have no zoning anyways, so we're still caught in that trap.
If you wanted to operate a birthday party in your backyard, we could literally sell liquor in your backyard. There's no requirement on the zoning or a wet for it to be zoned for a liquor license.
So yours is like a catering license.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's no requirement for that. We've talked with the alcohol, beverage, tobacco. And we are operating within our capacity of our license.
Okay, well, they're not here to tell us that, but does anybody else have anything they would like to say?
I'm prepared to make a
I would
motion.
just,
Who's
yeah, no, I'd
talking?
just like to add, we are operating legally. There is nothing that we're doing out there that is illegal, which is what Carmine is insinuating. Okay, there's nothing out there that we're doing that is illegal, that is against any code, any ordinances, anything. So that's why we're asking for this to be dismissed.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Vasella.
I'm prepared, the motion I would make is that the case CE 1901-9823 be dismissed until the zoning's corrected, and then they can go ahead and cite the violations.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? No second. The motion dies. Next motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Lorenzen, I move that we continue this case to the June 17th, 2022 hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second. A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
Mr. Vasilla opposes. Motion carries. This is going to be continued to July 17th. At least we'll have some word from the Board of County Commissioners and whoever else are going to go in front of.
Just for clarification, that was until the June 17th, 2022 hearing.
June 17th, yes.
Sir, thank you.
Okay, next case.
Turn to page 4, number 4, case number CE 2200-0133. The owner is Harmony Baptist Church Incorporated. Location 6008 West Nice Griffin Road. We have service. And someone is here to speak on this case. If you're here for this case, please come up to the podium. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. She's going to turn your mic on. There we go. And you can raise it up because you're a little tall.
Okay.
There you go. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Edward Osborne, 206 Henry Avenue, Plant City, 33563. I'm pastor of Harmony Baptist Church.
Do you recognize the property?
Yes.
Thank you.
Dennis Sweeney, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This particular situation or case came to us in a previous complaint late last year, which we had case number 2101-1153 for a nuisance condition from a drain field on the church property that is breached the ground surface and ran off into the neighbor's backyard. That case was closed due to some circumstances with the company that installed the drain field. However, the breach came back and a new complaint came in on this particular case on January 4th, 2022. I've spoken with the pastor of the church, Mr. Osborne, Pastor Osborne. He informed me that the company was supposed to come back out and correct the problem. However, there's some issues with the company not standing behind their warranty on this particular system for some reason. And the situation actually got worse. And the privacy fence in this picture is the neighbor's backyard where the pooling of the drain field is breaching and going onto their property and pulling and contaminating their backyard behind their shed. And as you've seen in the previous photos, the church is trying to redirect the water that's being breached from the drain field away from that fence, but that doesn't resolve the nature of this problem being a nuisance condition.
Okay, and the respondent?
Okay. Yes, as Mr. Sweeney mentioned, we have a problem with the,
One moment, sir. I'm sorry. Will you please keep your mask on? I'm sorry. It's required. Thank you.
Quality Septic put in a new septic tank January of last year. Actually, 1st of February was approved. And then in July, it started leaking, blowing out the water. When I called them out, their response was, we did everything right. You did something wrong to the system to make it a flood. And he said, we were using too much water. And he said, I'm going to replace the drain field. That's all I'm going to do. So that was in July. It took 3 months for him to replace the drain field. That was finally done in October, first part of October. And then in December, just 6 weeks later, that's when we heard from the neighbor again that there was water coming out again. So we checked that. I called the company. A month later, they came out and pumped out the tank, the system. And I put the sandbags around there to keep the water from going toward the neighbor's property as a temporary measure, just to protect the property next door and to keep it limited to one place there where it's away from everybody else and everything. This septic is actually the septic for the parsonage, the house next door to the church. It has nothing to do with it. It's not connected to the church at all. After they pumped out the tank, I also put a meter on the water myself, and for a 10-day period, checked the water, and it was 198 gallons average per day, which is well within standards. But since then, I have not been able to get any response from quality, and they're not doing anything, not responding to my calls. I called the health department, trying to get an assistance from them, and they did not come out from my calls. The inspector that I talked to named Israel, his answer was, well, Kevin is a good guy. He'll take care of it. And then when I called back and talked to him last time, he said, well, he says that you're putting too much water in the system, and that's causing the problem. Anyway, we're at that point now. So I tried calling in Bingham. After 2 weeks, they told me they didn't have time to come out. Now I have Alderman Septic coming out. He has come out and did the soil test yesterday. And we're set up for him to add to the system. Now, what he's going to do is increase the size of the drain field to make sure that it works all right. And he's changing the adjustments in the tanks that appears to be overflowing. The tank seems to be flooding the system, not water from the house. But anyway, our only problem now is we're just waiting the time it takes to get the permit done so that Alderman can get out and do the work that needs to be done. So we do have a problem. We're temporarily keeping it away from the neighbor's property and just out into a spot that's out of the way, away from anybody, and doing the best we can to keep it safe. But just couldn't get help from the original company, and we've gone to an alderman, and he's taking care of that problem just as soon as we can get the permit and get the work done.
Okay, how long is it going to take you?
Well, how long is it going to take to get the permit?
I don't know.
Okay, that's what I mean. As soon as they give us the permit, he'll be out there to do the work. He said he can do the work right away. So it shouldn't take more than a few days, I would expect.
Okay.
I don't know his schedule, but I know he says he can do it right away.
Members of the board, any questions? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'm prepared to make a motion. I move in case number CE 220000113 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinance as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation and the actions taken by the violator's history, that I grant 30 days to come into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved by that date, then an amount of $200 per day be assessed.
Okay.
Second, Lorenzen.
I'm just saying that 30 days is usually not good with the county because of the permitting process. I would go with 60 days. Just,
60.
yeah, it just, everything's slow.
I'm just trying to think of 30. It's been suggested that I amend my motion to 60 days, and I will go ahead and do that. And make it 60 days and $200 per day.
Second,
if it's
Lorenzen.
not complied.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next case, please.
Just one moment. I just want to confirm the case number on this is CE 2200-0133. I think there was.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next case is on page 5, number 7, case number CE 2101-2538. The owner is Jeremy S. Goodyear and Heather L. Goodyear. Location 8813 East Mill Point Road. We have service and we have a party here to speak. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And state your name and address.
Jeremy Goodyear, 8813 East Mill Point Road.
The rest of your address, please.
It's 33578 Riverview, Florida.
And do you recognize? Hang on.
Not right now.
You don't recognize that?
No.
Do you recognize that property? Thank you.
May I proceed? Good morning. Officer Saddam, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property in question is located at 8813 East Mill Point Road, Riverview, Florida, and is owned by Jeremy and Heather Goodyear. Property is in foreclosure and is owner occupied. This property was first inspected on August 31st, 2021, and was cited for accumulations, recreational utility vehicles in excess, and outside open storage. As of my last inspection on February 15, 2022, all violations still remain. Requesting a two-part motion on this. As a result, 2 of the violations, accumulation and the excessive RVs are repeat violations. So requesting a two-part.
Okay, what does the respondent have to say?
No, I don't understand. It says RVs. I don't have, RV's a recreational vehicle. I have none of those.
RVs, they also include utility trailers as well.
Wouldn't that be a utility trailer?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I didn't understand the RVs, because I remember in the past that there was a RV sighting, but it wasn't for utility trailers. There was a travel trailer.
Yeah, it's referring to the utility
Okay.
not RVs.
Okay. I have moved, all the trailers are out of the yard. There's no debris in the yard. I got that done as of yesterday at 4:50, and it was a little late to contact the officer, which I sent him photos. I mean, they were able to be uploaded, but if I could get a little more time for him to be able to come out to inspect to give me a compliance.
So what you're saying is everything's cleaned up?
Yes, sir.
You need him?
Yes,
You
sir.
just need him to say, you're in compliance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board members? This is an easy one.
Happy to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Chairman. I move in case CE 21012538, the based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the action taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 7 days to come into compliance on item Z203 outside open storage. If compliance is not achieved with that date, a fine of $250 per day be assessed. My second part motion, I move in case CE 21012538 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is again in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances listed in staff's presentation and of the previous order dated 2/1/21 for case CE 200104001 for item PM 12.1 accumulations, And 8/26/2019, case CE 1900-4874 for item Z 634, recreation utility vehicles exceeding allowable number. This constitutes a repeat violation as defined in Florida statutes. Further, I find the property is now in compliance with this code restriction order that remain in, Further, I grant 7 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved with that date, a fine of $250 per day be assessed. Additionally, that a fine of $300 per day per occurrence be imposed for any repeat violations after compliance is achieved.
Do we have a second?
Second. Clayton.
Okay, Ms. Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, just get with your inspector and y'all set up a date and time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Next case, please.
Turn to page 7, number 10, case number CE 2100-3586. The owner is James Brian Burton. Location 916 Tangelo Place. We have service. And someone is online virtually, I believe, for this case.
Yes.
Is Mr. Burton on screen?
Hold on. Is that?
We can see you now.
Okay, raise your right. Whoop, he's gone. Okay. I see him on my screen. Raise your right hand, please. Oh, no. It's froze. There we go. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address, please.
James Burton, 916 Tangelo.
And what's the rest of the address?
916 Tangelo Place, Brandon, Florida. That's it.
And do you recognize the property in the photo?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning, Charles Harwell, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This case originated in March 18th of 2021. It's owner occupied, not in foreclosure. The violations cited are accumulations, in-op vehicles, outside open storage, and recreational vehicle setback. As you notice, the photos are dated January 26th. This case was scheduled for the hearing on the 11th, and then it got moved to this hearing at the request of the property owner. So I spoke to him several times. I was there last Monday to issue a combo notice for this hearing, and everything's still there. That vehicle's an in-op. The RV's an in-op. There were several other in-ops on the property initially when the case started, but they have been moved, but this one-ton truck has been added, but it's also an in-op. And then there's stuff to see around the property. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You see the photos.
Okay, what does the respondent have to say?
I got rid of the other trailer. The new truck just doesn't have a tag on it. I just purchased it. And I have to get a tag for the camper. A lot of it picked up.
Can't hear him.
And being compliant.
Yeah.
Chair, are we able to keep his video off while he uses his audio? That will help with the issue of trying to hear him.
Mr. Chairman says that would be okay.
Is that okay? Okay. Mr. Burton, if you take off your video and just use your audio. So stop sharing your video. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Got rid of the other utility trailer. A lot of the debris picked up the truck. registered or titled. And the camper, I'll do it tagged because they're both running condition. They just don't have the tags on them. And the firewood pile is moved, and the other stuff is pushed back into the garage.
How much time do you need to make sure everything's cleared up?
Back the weekend, except for the tags.
Okay, we got about half of that. Tell me, how many days do you need to come into compliance?
30 days would be fine.
30 days? Okay, members of the board,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
go ahead, make a motion, ma'am.
I move in case number CE 21003586 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation and the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 30 days to come into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved by that date, then a fine of $200 per day be imposed.
Second, Lorenzen.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sir, you have 30 days to get everything into compliance. Next case.
Next case is number 11, case number CE 21010074. The owner is Shivam Gupta and Erica Davis. Location 1213 Belladonna Drive. We have service, and we have some parties online virtually. Okay, could you raise your right hand, please, sir?
Who are you speaking with?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And the other gentleman?
I do.
Okay, and I need both of you to state your name and address one at a time.
Rick Ivy. My address is 1211 Belladonna Drive, in Florida.
And what is your relation to this property?
I live next door to it.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Knight?
Matthew Knight, 902 Balsamina Drive, Brandon, Florida, 33510. And I'm also a neighbor of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, officer.
Okay, good morning, Charles Harwell, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. So this complaint is about an Airbnb or a home being rented on the Airbnb website as well as the BBRO website for less than 7 days. The unique thing about these properties is they won't show you they won't list an address or show a photo of the front of the home on the Airbnb website. Therefore, you got to get creative to be able to tie this home to the pictures on the website. As you can see, these photos here, this is the one I took. The one before that is on the website. They call this place is known as the Zen Oasis, and it's got a unique shaped pool. It's the only one in the entire area. So there's what's on the website. If you go to the next one, this is Map GIS. So this is how I tied it to this property and confirmed the complainant. The complainant is the gentleman who lives next door. So I tied the two together. It took several months to find where the current property owners reside, because on the property appraiser's website, it shows their address as this property. So once I made contact with them, I issued a combo notice, and they did confirm that they are renting this for less than 7 days. While this case was going forward, they rented it to some construction workers, and they brought commercial vehicles on. So that's why the commercial vehicle violation was added.
Okay, do we have anybody who's a respondent here?
No,
sir.
Okay. Well, we will listen to whichever Neighbor wishes to speak first.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. Basically, I'm just here. I mean, this thing has been going on for quite some time. They have absolutely no respect for the neighbors or the neighborhood. And because of the size of this house and the number of bedrooms, they rent it out to up to 20 people, I believe, for short-term rentals. So it is very popular for parties. We've had the sheriff's department out here quite a few times, had to run people off. They park in front of stop signs. They park in front of driveways. I have been threatened. My wife has been threatened by some of the tenants. Matt has actually been pushed, assaulted by one of the tenants when we just asked them to move their vehicles, and we've been nice about it, but it's just continuing problem. And then of course you saw they have construction workers come over and they party all night, and it's just noise and it's a mess. There's trash everywhere. They don't know how to empty the trash cans properly. And I end up with trash all over my yard I have to clean up. So it's just a constant, big, fat pain. We, as the homeowners association, in October, we had a special meeting, and we had 85% of the neighborhood voted to eliminate these from our neighborhood. So they are actually in violation of our HOA as well, but at this point, I don't know what we can do about it. We're still in the process trying to get that done, but hopefully this will resolve it.
Okay, the other gentleman?
Yes, I would just further, go with what Rick just said. He lives next door. I live across the street. Obviously during months of the summer, spring, we have issues with parties all the time, mostly local people based off tags. Sometimes it isn't an issue, but a lot of times it becomes an issue because once again, they have it listed to sleep upwards of 16 people. So it's always a party. There's always parking issues. It's close to the community entrance. They're always blocking mailboxes, stop signs, fire hydrant. That's really where we try to, get the police involved when they start to break the laws, because obviously we can't really do much if they just park in the streets. Obviously we try to call up when they're blocking the fire hydrant or too close to a stop sign or blocking traffic or whatnot. As Rick said, one of the last times they were parked in front of my mailbox, in front of my house, along the street, in front of the stop sign. I went over and asked if they could move them, and I was obviously pushed by one of the gentlemen because he didn't like how I was talking to his wife. But so the cops did respond to that. I didn't press charges, obviously, but it's been an ongoing issue. We were just aware of it being in code enforcement, so that's why we filed the code complaint. And obviously, I would attest to the commercial vehicles. I took multiple photos of it. Me and Rick and multiple neighbors have videos of parties happening at 11 o'clock midnight on Monday nights. One time there was 50 plus people there. Cops showed up. So it's an ongoing issue. As Rick once again said, HOA has approved to relinquish short-term rentals into the community of less than 6 months. So they're in violation of our community bylaws as well. And we're once again trying to get that issue resolved with them as well. But we're hoping that you guys will help with this situation in the community. Thank you.
May I just add something?
Sure.
I've been in contact with the owners. They were living here originally. And I have been in contact with them all along and let them know about these issues over and over. I've let them know about the county code. And so they're aware of everything that's happening. And the last time that they would actually talk to me, they had a big party going. I asked him to please do something. And he said, well, people like to party, just chill. And so that's the kind of attitude I get from these people. And, I've tried to be nice to them, but they just won't stop. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, Mr. Vasile.
Hold on. I just want to add one other quick thing. I did go on, like the code enforcement officer said, you can link it to based off, obviously we know what it looks like based on living next door. but I've gone like the next 3 months on Airbnb because you can just go and, reserve it yourself. And they have multiple weekends of less than 7 days booked for the next 3 to 4 months. I think there's only spring break. It looks like it's booked for a week and maybe one other week, but that's about it. And obviously you don't know if it's just for less than 7 days. So they still continuously don't care. They have no desire to help or to assist with this matter. They just continue to do it.
Okay, Mr. Vasilla,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
go
I
ahead.
have a question first.
Wait a minute, go ahead.
To the officer, do we have any contact with the owners in regards to this at all during the time that it's been a violation?
Yes, when I issued the combo notice for this hearing, and then she admitted to me personally that they're doing it less than 7 days.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm prepared to make a motion. I move in a case of CE 21010074 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property in violation of Hillsborough County Code and Ordinance as listed in staff presentation. Further, based on the gravity of violation, the action taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 3 days to come in compliance. Compliance not achieved by that time, a fine of $1,000 per day BSS.
Second, Lorenzen.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 3 days, $1,000 a day. Okay. Next case, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Turn to page 8, number 12, case number CE 2100-7999. The owner is John E. Ellison and Tina M. Ellison, location 12704 Greystone Drive. We have service, and we have someone here for this case. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address.
John Ellison, 12704 Greystone Drive, Riverview, Florida, 33579.
Do you recognize the property in the picture up there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Jason Zalva, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. On June 9th, 2021, I arrived at 12704 Greystone Drive for report of accumulations. Upon arrival, recognized this property as I'd been there for similar complaints in 2018 and 2019. I observed outside open storage of ladders, lawn equipment, other items. Also observed accumulations of buckets and what appeared to be chlorine containers. I was not able to make contact with the complaint that day, so I sent a request for a 15-day notice of violation. On 11/22, I returned and observed the same accumulations and outside open storage. And at that point, the case was referred for a hearing. On February 8th, I arrived there for a pre-hearing inspection. The accumulations and outside open storage had been removed, and code enforcement is here to ask for a board order of the complied violations of outside open storage and accumulations.
Okay. Respondent?
I currently don't reside at the actual residence. I kind of made a mistake and ran into my sister. So her husband is a contractor, and I guess he brings some of his work home with him. I've been trying to sell the property to them, but I can't sell it right now because my ex-wife's name is on the deed, even though it's not on the loan, and she moved to Texas and she won't sign any papers. So I talked with my sister about keeping the place cleaned up. Her husband said that he has a alternate plan now of disposing of his construction materials and stuff like that, rather than bring them home and have somebody pick them up. He's got a place that he takes them to now.
Okay, board members. Simple motion here.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
I move in case number CE 210079999 that based on the evidence presented, I find the property was in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as presented. Further, I find the property is now in compliance with this code provision and order that it remain in compliance with this code provision.
Second by Brazil.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You understand, sir, that you're ordered to keep it in compliance?
Yes.
Okay. Next case, please.
Turn to page 9, number 14, case numbers CE 21010304. The owner is Jenny Scott, Daniel L. Scott, and Linda S. Scott. Location 11816 Gordon Drive. We have service and we have someone here. Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And state your name and address.
Daniel Scott, 4818 Gator Pond Trail, Plant City, Florida, 33565.
Do you recognize the property in the photo?
I'm sorry to say yes.
Thank you.
Jason Zell of Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. I originally arrived at this property on July 27, 2021. Upon arrival, I got a report of people living in tents on the rear of the property. When I arrived, I observed a large amount of accumulations throughout the side yard, porch, and rear yard. There's also a large amount outside open storage of various household items, stored items. There are at least 3 RV/campers in the rear yard, what appear to be people living in them. There's also a great deal of overgrowth throughout the yard. I knocked on the door, but got no answer, nor did I see anyone in the rear yard. There is a friendly female pit bull that escorted me down the driveway, so I left a notice of visit on the door and requested a 15-day notice violation be sent to the owner. On 8/17, I arrived there for reinspection, met with the homeowner, Timothy Scott, the son of Jeannie Scott, who recently passed. What he told me. Timothy received the letter and began the cleanup. 2 young ladies arrived around the same time and stated they were helping him. Timothy worried that he would have to evict the people living in the RV. I advised him they did not have to evict them as they're not authorized to live there. Timothy asked for more time, and I gave him a 12-day extension. This case would later be referred as it was not in compliance. On February 3rd of this year, I arrived and posted the affidavit of hearing, and I observed some of the accumulation outside open storage had been cleaned from the front yard, but the rear yard was still completely filled, as you could see in some of the pictures. It appeared to be that the campers were still there, but I was unable to make contact with anyone there at the time. And then this morning I spoke with Mr. Scott here, who has already put a dumpster on scene, as already started the cleanup process.
Okay. The
Yes,
respondent? Yes.
I apologize. Yes, the property is a mess. Yes, I found out about all this on Friday, July the 12th of last year. I was in a car crash. I've been through 2 major surgeries. I have not been out to the property in over a year because of family problems. Timothy does not own anything. I own the property. My mother has not passed away. She is still alive. That's the only reason I'm keeping the property until she does pass away. I promised it to her. I got rid of everybody but 2 of the people in the backyard. They basically will not even tell me their names. He let them move a trailer in there to store it. And then they moved in, and they've got 7 dogs. They've actually built a compound in the backyard. I can't even get in there. But I've been informed that I don't need to evict them, that I can just have a tow company come out there and haul that stuff off. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I ask you to please, give me 60 days if you can, to where I can get this accomplished. I still can't even lift anything, but 2 of my brothers are coming in from Pensacola to help me get this took care of.
Okay, board members, anything? One of you like to make a motion?
I'll make a
Go
motion.
ahead.
excuse me, I move in case CE 210-10304 that based on evidence presented, I find the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 60 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $250 a day be assessed.
Second by Vazella.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sir, you got 60 days.
Thank you very much, and I will get it took care of.
All right, thank you. Next case.
Turn to page 10, number 16, case number CE 20011955. The owner is Kim Emily Dunmeyer. Location 7302 St. Vincent Street. We have service, and someone is here for this case. And she is here virtually.
If you can turn your video on, please.
Good morning. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address, please.
Kim Dunmeyer, 7302 North St. Vincent Street, Tampa, Florida, 33614.
And do you recognize the property in the photo?
I do.
Thank you.
Officer?
Good morning, John Karen, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. The property in question is located at 7302 St. Vincent Street, Tampa, Florida, 33614. The property is owned by Kim Emily Dunmeyer. Property is owner occupied and not in foreclosure. The initial inspection was performed August 7th, 2020, whereas 2 violations were thereby revealed. These conditions consisted of accumulations and overgrowth. The condition of overgrowth achieved compliance on January 21st, 2022. The condition of accumulation remains in non-compliance. Multiple site visits have been performed, and throughout the course of this case, various items have been observed, such as box springs, piles of tree debris, junk items underneath the carport, and most recently, a large mattress that remains present in the front yard. During the 5th site visit, which was performed June 22nd, 2021, large piles of mulch debris were observed and have since remained scattered at various locations throughout the parcel. Pre-hearing inspection was performed February 14th, 2022. Photographs were taken at that time for this hearing. We would like to inform the board that this property has previously been in violation for the conditions of accumulations as identified May 30th, 2019 and complied on September 3rd, 2019. At this time, we yield further testimony and are happy to answer any questions should the board have any. Thank you.
You can't have mulch?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. The mulch debris has been located on the parcel since June 22nd, 2021. Also, I would like to direct the attention to the mattress as well. Thank you.
Okay. Board member, respondent.
Hello, this is Kim Dunmeyer. So far as the mulch piles, they've been there intentionally, and I've repeatedly expressed their purpose and the purpose of all items on the property. So far as the mulch, we're in the process of building a berm around the house so that we can plant into it. We've currently broken down several of the piles due to repeat harassment about them, but one remains, and we have planted a tree in it so that it is clear that it is in use and purposeful. So far as the mattress was concerned, as you can see, it's leaning up in the picture because we removed it as requested. But it was originally being purposed to smother out the grass in our front yard garden, as just like someone would use a tarp. In any case, the debris has all been removed, the piles have been broken down, and we have covered the carport so that it is now enclosed storage and there is no longer any outside storage. I reached out to Pat, the other code enforcement officer who had come by yesterday morning, to let him know that we were in compliance. Obviously short notice. I'm physically disabled, as well as the other residents of the house, so it's taken us a bit of time to get it fully in compliance. But I'm also a bit confused about the mulch issue. As far as I was understood, we were allowed to have mulch. We were building up the soil in the front yard for our food garden. But if that is an issue in the future, we'd just like to know what exactly the issue is, how much mulch we can or can't have, or how we can stay in compliance in the future. Thank you.
Okay, a question for Mr. Pisano. You there?
I'm here, sir. Go ahead.
All right, good deal. The mulch.
The mulch.
We have a problem. You can have piles of mulch. I mean, if I had what are those monkey gyms with swings and whatever, I'd want a pile of mulch underneath it if the kid fell. You can't have mulch?
Mulch is an acceptable ground cover and weed retardant for beds. Mulch or any kind of materials piled on property is an accumulation. If he spreads it out in beds, and I'm sure that you have it spread out in your monkey gym at home, and it covers the bed. It may be a thick bed, but it's still covered and serving the purpose of more or less an absorbent in case kids fall on it. But in his attempt to build a berm around the property, if the berm is of any significant size that affects the flow of water off the property, it's a land alteration use and he may be in violation. So he may want to seek approval or run it by the county EPC or land. I'm sorry, I'm lost on my mind there, but in the present condition, as he has piles of debris on the property, that being mulch, it is a violation.
Okay, so there's somewhere in the code ordinance that says I can have mulch 3 inches high, 6 inches high, 1 foot, 6 feet. Where's the line? Because I can have mulch, but where's the line?
How about we just deal with the issue that it is on hand that I can answer the question to? That is a pile of mulch that exceeds what you're giving examples for, and it is an accumulation. That's the best I can answer the question there for you. It is not serving a purpose other than being a pile of accumulations. It is not properly spread out on the property in the beds and used as a land cover. You can do things on property and then you can get into the excessive amount where you may be in violation on what you're doing. There is a thing of being excessive in your activities.
Okay, members of the board, any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Lorenzen.
Question for the respondent. So I know in your testimony, you mentioned that the accumulations that are in your carport, that you've made some modifications to your carport. Can you explain what that is? Have you enclosed your carport or have you put up tarps, or what did you do exactly to be able to have your storage on your carport area?
Sure thing. I was told that if 3 or more sides of my carport were covered, that would be considered closed storage. So we placed tarps on both street-facing sides, and the house counts as the third side. So those are the modifications we've made. And if I may make a comment on the usefulness or purpose of the mulch, I disagree that it's not useful or that it's accumulation.
Okay, and question for the officer. So just for clarification, because I remember these kind of cases coming before the board previously, are tarps allowed as a containment area on carports, or does it have to be permanently enclosed on three sides?
Old board member, thank you for the question. Normally I answer that question by stating that the county defines storage as being three walls and a roof. As far as tarps go, I would answer that question by saying that the phrase that sticks to my mind is good workman-like condition. I have performed site visits, as you can direct your attention towards, if you go to the previous slide there, Carmine. You'll notice the carport, it almost appears as if it's a blanket that they've provided as to act as if it's a wall. So again, I would just reiterate good workman-like condition. Thank you, board member.
You're not actually able to see any of the changes that we've made in that image there. That's from before they were hung.
So the reason for my question was just to be able to help you and help us in determining a timeline for which you needed to get the items complete. If you were the under impression that enclosing the carport with tarps was sufficient, and that's really not the case as it appears based on the testimony, I wanted to be sure to be able to give you enough time to make modifications to the carport with a wall or structure that will be able to be passed. That was the reason for my question. Thank you.
Any other questions by the board? Somebody like to make a motion? Go ahead, you get it.
I'd be happy to make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move in case CE 20011955 that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is violation of Hillsborough County Codes or Ordinances listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 30 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $300 per day be assessed.
Second. Pizzello.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You have 30 days, sir. Next case.
Turn to page 11, number 18, case number CE 21012795. The owner is Jenny F. Wallace. Location 7315 Egypt Lake Drive. We have service and we have someone here for this case. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your name and address.
Jeannie Wallace,
And your address, please.
7315 Egypt Lake Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33614-3443.
Okay, and do you recognize that
Yes.
picture? Okay, thanks. You might want to get the mic a little bit closer. You seem very soft-spoken. Okay, thanks.
Okay, officer.
Good morning, John Kerrigan, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property in question is located at 7315 Egypt Lake Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33614. Property is owned by Jeannie F. Wallace. The property is currently owner occupied and not in foreclosure. The initial inspection was performed September 7th, 2021, and during a follow-up site visit on October 5th, 2021, 2 violations were thereby revealed. They are as follows: general standards for non-residential structures and overgrowth. The condition of overgrowth was achieved compliance on February 14th, 2022. This case was referred for Code Enforcement Board hearing October 25th, 2021. Contact with the respondent has been successful throughout the course of this case. The pre-hearing inspection was performed February 14, 2022. Photographs were taken at that time for this hearing. That concludes initial testimony, and we'll answer any further questions should the board have any. Thank you.
Question for the officer, Officer Kerrigan. Did you say that overgrowth complied? And we're only dealing with 10.1, or is overgrowth still an issue?
Thank you, board member, for the question. So yes, at the time of the pre-hearing inspection, I was not able to conclude because of the fact that these pictures that you see before you now were actually taken from the neighbor's backyard with their consent. So that's more or less the reason why that was essentially taken down. But what we have here before the board is essentially the accessory structure that's in pretty poor condition, as exhibited by the image. Thank you.
I understand. Thank you.
Is somebody living in this?
Yes. You mean in that structure? No, that's just a storage shed.
Okay, just a storage shed. Okay. And officer, you're saying the deterioration of the shed is what the problem is?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Okay. All right, respondent, what would you like to tell us?
It's like I haven't had any time. I've been in the hospital and out of the hospital, then I haven't had any time to do anything. It's like, and it's also a protection for my bamboo.
How much time do you need to get into compliance?
I have no idea. I'm sorry. It's like my health is kind of, how do I say, iffy. I can do things for about 15 minutes and then I have to stop.
I'm sure you could find somebody that would tear it down if you paid them.
Mr. Chairman, Inspector Carry on. If I may add just a quick comment with your permission.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, we have been in contact with the respondent in this case, and I wanted to share with the board that there has been conversations about including our outreach resources to assist the respondent with this particular case. Thank you.
And how long would it take the outreach to get an answer or to get something effective done?
Mr. Chairman, that is a great question. In fact, I would refer that question over to the respondent.
You said
this is Carmine Pisano. If Miss Wallace, if you today will give us more or less a commitment to allow the county's hardship outreach program assist you in bringing your property into compliance, I will ask the board to continue this case, and we will make contact with you in the immediate future, that being sometime this week, to discuss measures to assist you at correcting the condition violations on your property. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
Okay. So I would need a good contact phone number from you, and then when we do try to make contact, that commitment does apply that you will answer and at least work with us as we try to help you.
Okay.
Board, I'm requesting that you continue this case for at least 3 months so that we can assist Ms. Wallace in her efforts to bring her property into compliance.
Okay, members of the board? Mr. Dayton?
In case, I'm sorry, CE 210-12795, I would like us to continue till May 20th hearing for this case.
Second, Lorenzen.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, ma'am. Get with Mr. Pisano after and make sure he has the information, and hopefully they can help you out, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Turn to page 12, number 20, case number CE 2101-3583. The owner is Yamil Herrera and Pastor Perez, 7205 North Church Avenue. We have service and we have someone signed in here. Good morning. Oh, you're not the person. Morning, sir. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state your, you can pull that up.
Yes, I do.
No, you can pull the mic up a little bit.
All
There
right,
you go.
thank you.
State your name and address, please.
Francisco J. Otero, 13014 North Delmavie Highway, Suite 628.
And are you representing the owners?
Yes, I am.
and With their authority to
Yes,
do
they
so?
hired my firm to represent him in the permitting and the zoning issues that we have.
I see. Do you recognize the property in the photo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, officer.
Good morning, board members. John Carrion, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property in question is located at 7205 North Church Avenue, Tampa, Florida 33614. The property is owned by Yamil Herrera and Pastor Perez. Property is currently owner occupied and not in foreclosure. The initial inspection was performed September 24, 2021, whereas 2 violations were thereby revealed, such as additions to the primary structure located on the east end of the property that encroach on the required side yard, and a detached accessory structure in the rear yard that does not meet the required 3-foot setback. The following conditions remain in non-compliance: primary structure setbacks and accessory structure setbacks. This case was referred for Code Enforcement Board hearing October 29, 2021, and the respondent thereby shared intentions of engaging with development services to acquire the after-the-fact approvals. However, we have not been able to verify that an application has been submitted as of yet. The pre-hearing inspection was performed February 18th, 2022. Photographs were taken at that time for this hearing. That said, I'll yield the rest of my time to allow the respondent to provide his response. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, again, I'm Francisco Otero Calcio. The homeowner actually hired us to rectify these violations. And in communication with the code enforcement, we've been in constant communication. And what happens in cases like this, we become detectives. They tell you one thing, and then when we go into the process of rectifying the violations, other things pop up. So I referred the client, the first thing we should do is get an updated survey, and that'll tell us a lot. Now, we are in violation, and then when we got the updated survey recently, it took a little while because everybody's behind. There's another issue that came up. We have the plans completed, but we need to submit for a variance for the setback issues. And then the survey brought up an issue where there was a 5-foot utility easement on the rear of the property. Now, we're in the process now of working with the county staff to determine if that easement is being used or we could vacate it. So there's still some stuff we're dealing with, but we're here to commit that the owner of the property is intent of getting these violations rectified, and they hired me to do that. And we're making progress, and I'm just here to ask, give an update of what's happened so far, and we would need to, apply for a variance, potentially a vacated easement, then permitting, then inspections for the final. Now, I do understand that there's some things where in the rear of the accessory structure, if that doesn't get approved, we understand that needs to be demolished. But the addition to the house, we feel confident that will be approved through permitting and a variance. Thank you.
How long do you think it's going to take?
To be honest with you, this one is kind of a little bit time consuming, but I feel that I could get everything done from the variance to the permitting to the final inspections within 180 days. And then if I see basically that if the easement vacating it will not be approved, we'll stop that process and then just have them, demolish the structures that are on the easement. But I feel very confident, within 180 days, all this will be finalized.
Okay, Mr. Lorenzen.
To the respondent, so my understanding is through your testimony that you have a current survey. How long will it take you to submit your application for the variance?
We could submit the application for the variance within 30 days.
Okay. That would be my recommendation to the board that we continue it for 30 days. I'd like to see progress and being able, since nothing's been done to date as far as documentation, I'd like to see them submit for a variance within 30 days instead of a 180-day timeframe. But
No problem. Okay.
sure, I can make that a motion, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, for my narrative. I move in case CE 21013583 that we continue this case for 30 days with the understanding that within 30 days, the respondents will submit for a variance on this property. That brings us to the March 25th, 2022 hearing date.
Second by Gazelle.
Next meeting. March 25th, 2022.
Second the motion. Clayton.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we want this by a date or 30 days?
Today is the 20.
Today's
I guess by the next board date, by the next board meeting of March 25th, 2022.
25th.
So actually 33 days. Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be continued so you can bring us back what all you have, what you have filed, the whole 9 yards, okay?
Okay, I understand.
All right, next case, please.
Thank you.
Number 21, case number CE 21014956. The owner is Gustavo Cruz Perez. Location 7413 North Arowana Avenue. We have service and we have Mr. Perez virtual on here. And if you'd raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Que si juras decir la verdad y solamente la verdad.
Yeah. Sí.
Yes, he does.
Okay, and sir, are you there to translate for him?
Yes, I'm living here in his house and I'm trying to help him.
Okay, so you're also going to testify?
Yes, I do.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I will need both of you to state your name and address for the record.
You want me to start?
Sure.
Camilo Garcia, and I'm living on 7413 North Arowana Avenue in Tampa, Florida, 33614.
Thank you.
Gustavo, tu nombre y la dirección.
Yeah, my name is Gustavo Israel Cruz Perez. My house is at 7413 North Arowana Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614.
Thank you.
Morning, John Carrion, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property.
Carmine. Do the gentleman on the online recognize this property in the photo?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that. John Carrion, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. Property in question is located at 7413 North Arowana Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614. The property is owned by Gustavo Cruz Perez. Property is currently tenant occupied and not in foreclosure. The initial inspection was performed October 28th, 2021, whereas 2 violations were thereby revealed. Said violations consisted of improper use of zone and inoperable vehicles. The condition of improper use of zone was complied on February 8th, 2022. The following violation remains in non-compliance: inoperable vehicles. This case was referred for Code Enforcement Board hearing November 4th, 2021. Contact with the tenant was achieved only once. However, contact with the property owner has not been established as of yet. The pre-hearing inspection was performed February 8th, 2022. Photographs were taken at that time for this hearing. At this time, I'll answer any further questions, should the board have any. Thank you.
Okay, for the respondent, what would you like to tell us about the inoperable vehicles?
I bought the car for me to fix it because I was using my wife's car and I didn't know that I couldn't have the car for me to fix in front of my house. And the only reason I didn't get the tag and register on my name, it's because my economic situation is not for me to pay in insurance if I'm not driving the car. But I already found a place to leave the car until I fix it, and then I can register on my name.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that car is gone.
Yeah, it's not here anymore.
It's not there anymore.
Dile que le mandamos una foto a Sofía también.
He's saying that we sent a picture to Miss Sophia.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the board members? This ought to be an easy.
I move in case CE 21014956 that based on the evidence presented, I find that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County codes or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. Further, based on the gravity of the violation, the actions taken by the violator and the violator's history, I grant 7 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $200 a day be assessed.
Second, Lorenzen.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Get with the inspector and y'all can get together before the 7 days and make sure it's gone. Next case, please.
I believe that clears. Is anyone else in the audience needing to speak? What case are you here for, sir? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You don't have a case? Okay, thank you. Board members, that clears the audience if you would like to hear the cases that don't have anyone here to speak.
Okay. Seeing there's no one present nobody is present in the audience for the remaining cases on the agenda. The board will now review the case materials previously provided by the county staff. Board finds that the property is in violation of Hillsborough County Code or ordinances as listed in staff's presentation. The board ruling of each case will be based on the evidence presented, the gravity of the violation, actions taken by the violator, and the violator's history in determining the amount of fine that will be assessed. And what we will do is we will start with Mr. Vasilla. We'll go here, we'll go over to Ms. Clayton, then we'll go back to Mr. Vasilla. Okay, we're ready.
Turn to page 2, number 2, case number CE 21012943. This case complied February 21st, 2022. Page 3, number 3, case number CE 21013920. This case was pulled per staff on February 15th, 2022. Page 4, number 5, case number CE 1603. The owner is Bernice E. Peak, 2216 South St. Cloud Avenue. We have service and no one is present.
Officer Steen, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. This property is located at 2216 South St. Cloud Avenue, Valrico, Florida, 33594. Was first inspected on August 17th, 2021. At the time of the inspection, it was owner occupied, not foreclosure. The following violations were noted: accumulations, stairs, porches, and appurtenances, and recreational vehicles. If you look at that RV in the back, I think there's a better view. It is connected. There are lines underneath. There is on the right of the image right there, there's a pallet water tote. I believe there's someone living in the vehicle. I just haven't been able to photograph that, but it's connected. I have made contact with the property owner and her son. They said it was going to be moved out off the property this week. However, yesterday I went by and everything is still the same.
Okay, Mr. Rousseau.
See, I grant 30 days to come in compliance, not achieved by that time, a fine of $200.
I'll second for purposes of discussion. Mr. Rosillo, I know from personal experience, this particular property has had issues for quite some time. I'm actually kind of surprised we don't have a repeat violator here. They've had issues with their roof. They've had issues with their neighbors. I live very near to this address, so I would ask that you might consider a shorter time frame and a higher per day penalty based on, which I guess at this point is just my personal knowledge of the.
Well, based on your personal knowledge, and what would you recommend? I'll pull my motion and let you go ahead and make it based on your personal knowledge.
Okay, thank you. I grant 14 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $400 per day be assessed.
In that case, I'll second it.
Thank you, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next case.
Page 5, number 6, case number CE 21012730. This case complied February 14, 2022. Page 6, number 8, CE 21012833. This case complied February 16, 2022. Page number 9, CE 20013831. This case was heard on the previous special magistrate agenda. I don't know why it wound up on this agenda. Okay, page 8, number 13, case number CE 2101010. Aaron Lee Morris, 12201 Shelby Drive. We have service and no one is present.
Jason Zalva, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. On July 20th, 2021, I arrived at 12201 Shelby Drive for a report of people working all night, power tools, chainsaw, drug use, and people living in RVs in the rear of the property. I spoke with the complainant, explained that I could address RV issue, but everything else was HGSO. Upon arrival, I met with Aaron, the owner, and he admitted that he had a few people living in the RVs, but he would not allow me in the backyard to get pictures. But he said they would be leaving soon. As I was about to leave, the neighbor, Andrew, requested I speak with him, and then he walked me to his backyard where I could have a good view of the RV that was occupied, recreational vehicles occupied, the nuisance condition from accumulations of burn pile and just general accumulations throughout the rear property. For that reason, I sent out a 15-day notice of violation. On 8/17, I arrived in, because they had made progress, I gave the owner a 10-day extension. On 11/8, the property was still in violation, referred to hearing. On February 3rd of this year, I met with Aaron and served him with the affidavit, and he stated that he did not want me to take pictures because he said there was still stuff he had cleaned up. It would be cleaned up prior to hearing and come back next week. So I continued forward to hearing on 2/17. I arrived there and met with his living girlfriend, Grace Remington. And he said that he was incarcerated for an FTA for this today's date. But she did give me permission to take these photos, which you see here. The property is still in violation of the accumulations and people living in the RVs and nuisance condition.
Do we know how long he's going to be in jail?
It was a simple FTA, so he should be out today.
Okay, thank you.
I grant. Before I do that, can I ask a question? How much is left now? How is it what it looks like in the picture now? Or did I hear you say
Front
something?
yard, yes, ma'am. The front yard is not that bad. The rear yard is probably worth about 2 60-yard dumpsters worth of stuff.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to grant 30 days to come into compliance, and if compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $300 per day be assessed.
Second, Lorenzen.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Was that motion made by Mr. Ozzio?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Page 9, number 15, case number CE 2101-2827. The owner is THR Florida LP, 5803 Meadow Park Place. We have service and no one is present.
Jason Zalva, Hillsborough County Code Enforcement. On September 13th, 2021, I spoke with a complainant of this house, Javier Rivera, on the phone. He had made a complaint to Invitation Homes because his home was leaking in the back and there was water damage. Because they had started the process, I gave a 5-day extension. On 10/20, I returned and conducted an interior inspection. The water had seeped in through the rear of the house where he'd get out of bed and there'd be water on the floor. So at that point, I requested a 10-day notice of violation. On 11/8, this case was referred to a hearing. On 2/17, I arrived for a pre-hearing inspection, and he said that they did show up and seal the back of the house, and according to the past 2 rainstorms, no water seeped in. However, there is still interior floor damage to the molding, and for that reason, I've kept this case going forward to hearing. They have been dragging their feet and making those repairs.
I grant 21 days to come into compliance. If compliance is not achieved by that date, a fine of $250 per day be assessed.
Second, Clayton.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Board.
Page 10, number 17, CE 2100-4104. This case was pulled per staff. And that concludes the agenda.
What about case number 19?
Hold on.
Page 11, number 19.
Did I miss one?
I think so.
I don't have it marked off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, number 19, case number CE 2101-2948. This case complied February 21st, 2022. And that concludes the agenda.
Okay, board members, any questions, comments? We're adjourned.